Okay, fam, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about Bitcoin and the altcoin market. So with that being said, let's get it. Okay, so Bitcoin is I'm not going to lie to y'all, it's looking a little bit ugly. Was not really thinking we were going to get a pullback in December. I thought we would likely get one in January instead, but it appears that the market wants to play a Houdini on us and try to fool us once again. I mean, that's to be expected, right? So, if for whatever reason December does ultimately end up being red, it's possible that January may be green, which is, if I remember correctly, I think January last time was also green. So, yeah, it should still, um, January should still be green, but we'll just have to wait and see on that one. So, it's possible maybe we get like a kind of a flat month this month, and then next month we get like another huge explosive green candle like we saw in November. Keep in mind, Trump is going to actually be in power and in office next month as well. So there's that. Okay, so before we get into the charts, let's get into all the major metrics here. So, crypto search term for the 5-year time frame. You can see this huge drop off. That's to be expected. I told you guys already that most retail traders, when the crypto market dumps, they don't really pay attention to it. They're only interested in the hype. When they see the prices running to the moon, that's when they want to throw their chips on the table. And they usually lose interest equally as fast as they gain interest in the cryptocurrency space. That is obviously not the case for all retail traders, but for the vast majority of them, that is actually the case, which is why you're seeing this small correction here. I don't think that this is the end of the bull run. I think we're just getting started. Keep in mind, no two bull runs are ever going to be the same, just like no two bear markets are ever going to be the same. I will tell you guys this, the fact that we're sitting at a 25 in December is extremely bullish in my opinion because, last time we were at December, last cycle was actually only a 10 or a 9. So the fact that we're sitting at a 25 right now coming off of this peak is, in my opinion, actually a good sign because usually when we get these higher moves, it always leads to higher highs. Ultimately, you can see kind of these swing highs and swing lows getting bigger as the trend grows. So I kind of expect the same thing going forward. The 25 also signals to me that likely the top is not in yet because, again, if there's any major top, we would need to see like a 70 plus, and we're not seeing that right now. So Bitcoin, obviously Bitcoin hit at 100,000. That was a big deal. So we got a 70 local peak here, retraced to a 38. We'll talk about what is likely going to happen going forward in the charts here soon, but I think this is just a local peak. I don't think it's any kind of major signal peak. I just don't see that happening because, again, we hit 90, 80, and then 100 3 times in 2020 to 2021 before eventually having that huge 50% drop, and then we had another major peak in November of that same year. So once again, retail got all hyped up for the Bitcoin and then it dumped, or not really dumped, but I mean, it's kind of a relatively small pullback for Bitcoin. This is not really all that extreme. About 15%, that's nothing for Bitcoin. But people, that are just kind of here today, gone tomorrow, they're going to look at that and be like, oh, I don't want to buy that crap. They wanted to buy it when it was at 105,000, but they don't want to buy it at 95,000. Gee, I wonder. Okay, so next one here, fear and greed. So yeah, I told you guys the same thing that I told you months ago, which was basically usually when we get these fear and greed extreme swings in one direction or another, it usually stays there for a while in one spectrum or the other. It's not usually like, it's there for a day and then immediately it flips. No, we usually spend a few months in that kind of general area. So we are up here at these peaks. Again, Bitcoin's usually slated to break out at the end of the halving years, so I think likely we're probably going to see quite a bit more upside, and we'll probably be in a bull run for a while. The way that this current bull run is playing out, I would say it could potentially be a mix of something between 2017 and 2021. I don't know if you guys remember 2017. I actually was not around then, but I have spent quite a bit of time studying the charts. 2020, 2021 was much more explosive. with kind of a mid-cycle correction. A nice big fat 50% drop in the middle of that year, and then boom, another massive rip to the upside. Whereas 2017 was a little bit more sustained and drawn out. It went from 2015 lows to 2017 highs with minor 20, 25, 30% corrections along the way. But the actual run up of the cycle in 2017 was much, much more sustained. I have to go back here quite a ways to actually show you guys this. So you can see that we actually had quite a few higher highs and higher lows here. We could see something very similar to 2017 this cycle. That's possible. The big fat green month we had in November tells me it's more like 2020. So it's hard to say exactly how this is going to play out. But like I said, I'm not expecting any major peak in Bitcoin or crypto until kind of towards the end, more towards the end of next year. So MVRV score, this kind of further cements the thesis here that likely we're not at a peak yet, because usually when this thing tops out, we get in these pink boxes up here. We're not even close to it. And you guys can see this is a pretty solid indicator for a top. But again, we're not even close to that level yet. I mean, we saw like a 3. The last time we got a signal for this thing, we were at a 7. So yeah, once again, I'm just going to say it. I think that likely we're still very undervalued in crypto and Bitcoin. I'm aware Bitcoin is overbought and a little expensive right now, but you guys have to understand something that is overbought can stay overbought for a very long time. The markets, especially the stock markets, those of you guys that understand stocks, understand them well, the stock indices can be overbought for years before having a major correction. Okay, years. I'm not even kidding. Okay, so Bitcoin rainbow chart. There's really only 2 things to really understand about this. Usually when we're in the blue, it happens after the halving. We kind of chop around in that area for a while, and then we eventually rip to new all-time highs, which we have done. But the thing I want to point out about the consolidation after the halving in the blue zone to the actual rip that takes place after that is usually when we get that parabolic move, it is a huge, I mean, just monstrous, absolutely stupid move to the upside. Okay. Even last cycle, we went from, I think it was, what was it? It was like 3,000 down here at the pandemic lows all the way up to 69,000 within an extremely short period of time. I think it was like 12 months. I mean, yeah, we've gone from, I mean, we've gone from 15, 16,000 to about 100,000. I mean, that's a nice 5, 6x, but still not quite a 10x. So, and again, this move looks kind of small. I know it's a big move, but it actually, on this particular chart, it looks very small to me. I don't think we're done with the first parabolic phase of Bitcoin's bull run. I just don't think so. Not even on the Bitcoin rainbow chart. Okay, so pi cycle top indicator, another reaffirmation that likely we still have not seen a serious, a major top for Bitcoin yet. Again, I want to point this out. The EMAs are kind of spread out here. We usually don't get Bitcoin really ramping up to the upside until we get above the green EMA. The green EMA currently sits at 132,000. The yellow one sits at 77,000. Usually when we get a test of the yellow EMAs, we'll push up into the green one and then eventually get above it. And that's when the explosion in Bitcoin and crypto happens. But again, I want to point this out. The current price of Bitcoin is 96,000. To get to the EMA, we would have to get above 130,000. We're not even at 130,000 yet. So basically what I'm saying here is, in my opinion, based on this chart, we have a long ways to go, okay? I don't think we're even close to being to the end of this bull run yet. Okay, so M2 global money supply, you guys already know how this goes. As the Fed cuts rates, they print money, and then there is the quantitative easing, there's the actual printing of money, and then there is the cutting rates, which is kind of the default backdoor workaround kind of money printing, so to speak, because by default, when the Fed cuts rates, they make the cost of borrowing cheaper, which ultimately saves people money, which in and of itself is kind of indirectly a form of money printing. Okay. So we're seeing the first stages of that. Now, a lot of people are thinking like, oh yeah, the Fed's not going to cut rates again in January. Well, it's possible. I mean, maybe. Again, I mean, if it takes them years to cut rates to get down to neutral, and that creates a longer, more sustained bull run, great. Do I think that's how it's going to play out? Probably not. Um, maybe they try to do that for the first month of January, but I don't think it's really going to last that long. Maybe they do it next month, they get away with it, and then after that, it's probably a no go because Trump's going to want them to cut rates and cut them quickly, and I don't think he's going to be playing any games with the Fed. So I'm pretty much telling you guys the same thing I've said before. So, anyways, M2 money supply, I expect these green peaks to get bigger, the blue line to go up, and the black line, which is Bitcoin, to go up with the blue line. I suspect that is still going to play out going forward in time. I don't think it's going to change. I think the Fed's just trying to kind of talk down the markets. Maybe it's a last ditch effort by the Dems to try to screw Trump and his cabinet and everybody else in government for voting for the opposite side. Believe it or not, they are actually quite petty like that. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard to say exactly what's going on here, but regardless, I mean, the Trump pump was pretty extreme. The reality is the markets did actually need a little bit of cooling off. I just didn't think it was going to last as long. Okay, so top apps by ranking. I actually scrolled down this and I did not see Coinbase or Gemini in the top 200. So the fact that they've fallen off that far tells me likely we could potentially be very close to a bottom on this pullback in crypto. That's possible. That would also line up with Trump getting into office, and then we get another Trump pump in January. That could happen. The only app that I've seen on this list that you can even trade crypto on, as far as I know, is Cash App, and that's number 36. So yeah, I'm not seeing anything else that indicates that we're even close to a top in the bull run. Again, I've told you guys this 1,000 times. I would like to see a handful of these different platforms like Robinhood, Cash App, Coinbase, Gemini, Kraken, yada yada, in the top 10 or around the top 10 to kind of signal potentially we may be hitting a top, but I'm just not seeing that as of right now. I mean, again, we only have one one single app that I can see that's even in the top 50. So yeah, seems like we still have a long ways to go. Okay, so let's go ahead and cover. I'm actually going to do this in reverse. We're going to cover the major metrics for the altcoin market first, and then we're going to go over Bitcoin last. Okay, so we'll start with the Bitcoin dominance. Again, we kind of have a series of higher highs, presumably higher highs and higher lows. This is kind of to be expected. Why do I say this? Because the structure level that we have not broken it yet, but that we're looking to break and hold below is this golden line here. So we did get a move back up in the Bitcoin dominance, but we got rejected off of 60. It's possible maybe that this is the actual lower high. Okay. And then we move down from here. That could happen. Part of the reason why I say that is because usually Bitcoin, you'll get like a small alt season into the halving year. While Bitcoin kind of chills around a little bit, then the price of Bitcoin will go parabolic again for its true final run into whatever that's going to be, and then the altcoins will follow with it. And then the Bitcoin dominance will fall off and we'll get some kind of massive explosion on the altcoins. So the other thing I want to point out here is this rising wedge pattern. We did actually get a break below it. Now it appears that maybe it's trying to get back down below the wedge. We'll have to see how this plays out. But again, I want you to understand the target for the wedge is the bottom of the wedge, which is all the way down here in kind of this 40% area. So we have a very long ways to go down in terms of the Bitcoin dominance, and a long ways to go up in terms of Ethereum and the alts. So I do want to point out that last cycle Bitcoin dominance did run up into, it would seem, the end of the year in the halving year of that cycle. And then we had a huge sell-off into January, February, went sideways. And then from March until May, we had a just like a stupid slump on this thing. And altcoins went absolutely parabolic. What I think is likely happening this time is the market's going to stagnate probably. Maybe it picks up right before Trump gets in office, maybe like sometime next month. But I think it's what we're seeing currently is kind of a stagnation. People are waiting, especially in crypto, for Trump to get into office, to get these, to get Gensler out of here and all these other people that are kind of in the way, so to speak, um, and to get that pro crypto regime to be more confident in the crypto space. And then ultimately we'll see the move up. I think that's kind of what's happening right now. So yeah, Bitcoin dominance looks good. I mean, whether it goes up or down doesn't matter. I think ultimately it's going to go down and the altcoins are going to explode. So it doesn't mean that and I want you to understand this, just because the Bitcoin dominance goes down and altcoins go up does not mean that Bitcoin has hit a final all-time high. It also does not mean that Bitcoin cannot go higher. I want you to understand that. Okay. All right. So total one, I told you about this cup and handle pattern. Simply put, regardless of whether we measure it as a cup and handle or use the Fibonacci's, likely the total market cap of crypto one is going higher. Again, the Fibonacci retracement tool shows us that a maximum capitalization of 10.5 trillion could be possible. That is a 3x from the current price. Okay. Whereas if I were to measure the cup and handle pattern from the neckline breakout, which is right about here, it would still go up to roughly almost $5 trillion. So a huge increase coming. I think it's going to be more than 5 trillion. I don't think that's going to be it. I'm just going to be real with y'all. But we have broken the cycle highs for 2021 on this one. So that's obviously very bullish. Total two, still kind of trying to retest these highs here. Haven't quite broken them yet. But again, you have to understand that Ethereum always lags behind Bitcoin. Usually Bitcoin goes first, and then Q1 post-halving, we see Ethereum rip along with the altcoins. I suspect that is kind of what we're seeing right now. Again, if I just do a Fibonacci retracement from the highs to the lows here, the potential of what we could see for just the total two is about 5.6 trillion. That is that's almost a 4x the current total capitalization of Ethereum and the altcoins. Now, total three, very similar, retesting the highs, didn't get a breakout yet. That lines up perfectly with the Q1 post-halving year being the actual alt season. So for this one, we're sitting currently under a trillion, and the Fibonacci retracement shows us that it's roughly about a 4x the current level at about 3.9 trillion. So yeah, possible 4x on both, a 3x on the total one, 4x on total two and total three. It could be even more stupid than that, depending on how bullish the Trump admin is. We'll just have to wait and see on that. So this is the Ethers. This is a newer chart. So basically, what this is the all of the cryptocurrencies in the crypto market in the native space minus the top 10. Okay. So it does not include the top 10, which again is Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Dogecoin, Binance, all those guys, right? So I want to point this out to you just to kind of give you a heads up, an understanding of what we're looking at here. So this includes pretty much every single altcoin that we have, okay? So I want to point this out. This does not include the top 10, okay? This is everything outside of the top 10. This is your most degenerate coins. We're talking about like the scraping the bottom of the barrel, super micro cap meme coins, meme coin AI coins, AI agents, potential pump and dump scams. Be careful out there, please. But we're talking like micro size, okay? Anything outside the top 10 going all the way down to infinity to the bottom of the barrel. That's what you're looking at here, okay? So it's possible this thing could hit up to 2 trillion. That's what the Fibonacci show. That, again, would be roughly about a 6x. That wouldn't shock me at all. Again, you guys got to understand, in anything in the markets, the smaller the market cap, the larger the potential upside move. Okay, when you get in the big coins, you could potentially make like a 2, 3, 5x, but the chances of you making like a 50, 100, 200x on something like Binance, pretty small, okay? Compared to if you bought something like maybe I mean, we've already seen it with the AIOZ, right? AIOZ, when it was a penny, went from a penny to a dollar. I mean, there's your 100x right there. AIOZ is in the top 200 now, but at some point it was not in the top 200. At some point it was in like the top 500 or top 1,000. That's what this chart is. Okay, so now I want to go over the last thing here, which is Bitcoin itself. So we did not get a confirmation. Well, I mean, again, we still have 3 days left on the weekly time frame here. So if this pattern is negated, it's possible maybe Bitcoin could hold this 92,000, try to make a second attempt higher. That could happen. If the price gets back within this bull flag, again, the target is $140,000. I still think Bitcoin is going to 140,000 plus. Even if this pattern does not play out, I'm just going to tell you all like it is. I think 200,000, somewhere around 200,000 could be Bitcoin's top. However, if this continues to pull back, maybe we bottom out somewhere around 87 to 92,000, maybe even as low as kind of around 80,000. I mean, going on this late in the cycle, kind of towards the end of the halving year or two, I think we're going to get that extreme of a pullback. Probably not. If I had to put my money on one of these situations, I would probably say the bottom's probably going to be somewhere between 87 to 92,000. It's possible we may have already hit the bottom. Okay. So going over the monthly time frame here, I don't really particularly like this candle on the monthly time frame too much. It's kind of ugly. You see this nice long wick at the top, small body closing right around the top of the previous month. Last time we saw something like this, it led to a massive red month the following month. But again, that was in May. We're not anywhere near May right now, so it's hard to say exactly how this is going to play out. I will say this, okay? Every time we have seen a major peak in Bitcoin, we have on the monthly time frame on the RSI, we've been somewhere around a 95. As of right now, we are not at a 95. We are sitting around a 76. So, yeah, I don't think January is going to be a huge red month. I just don't see that happening, especially if we're going to have an alt season. I mean, it looks that way, but I doubt it. Okay, so I'm gonna scroll down to the daily time frame here. We are below this kind of bull flag pattern. That's not great. You can see the EMA is starting to converge downwards. That's also not great. What I do want to point out here, though, is the EMAs on the daily time frame and for the RSI and the MACD are still in the bull territory. It's possible that getting close to this break-even level could potentially be a signal of a bottom. Okay. And you can see we're retesting kind of this major macro support area here at 92,000. That could also be the case. It's a little bit difficult to say on the daily time frame exactly what to expect, but I don't think that we're going to be heading down to 80,000. I just don't see that happening. What I will say here is another reason why I think likely the bottom is about to be in, because again, Bitcoin, every time we've seen an oversold on the 4-hourly time frame, and we talked about this over the months, usually it has led to a significant bottom in the price of Bitcoin, especially in an uptrend. We've seen that once again. This time, however, we are seeing a bullish divergence on the 4-hourly time frame. Okay, so the RSI is creating higher lows, whereas the price is creating lower highs. What that means is a bullish divergence. What is a bullish divergence? Pretty simply put, it's usually the markets, the charts indicating that there is a potential reversal to the upside right around the corner. Okay. The opposite would be the bearish divergence, where in this case, the RSI would be creating lower highs and the price would be creating higher lows, or basically the RSI is going down, the price would be going up. We're not seeing that right now. Okay. The RSI is going up, price is coming down. This indicates a weakening of the bear momentum. Okay. All right. So the last thing I want to go over here is to take a look at the Fibonacci's. And again, keep in mind the pi cycle top indicator. Just to get above the green EMA is $130,000 Bitcoin. We did not even hit 110,000 yet. So yeah, I think likely the top's not in. So you guys can see that, Yeah, even getting up to this kind of resistance level that scales from the previous cycles here, we still would not be getting to that green EMA on the pi cycle top indicator. So I don't think this green line is going to hold. I really highly doubt it. I think we're going to break it and price is going to go higher. So I did want to point out that the levels for the top of this thing range anywhere from 160 to 215 up to 250,000 for Bitcoin. I think that's absolutely possible. The last thing I wanted to point out here is keep in mind there's a whole slew of events that are coming for crypto that are bullish for crypto. Okay. Starting next month, I believe it's Paul Atkins is going to be the new SEC chair. Gensler will be fired, okay, which by or resign, whatever, which in my opinion is, that's bullish enough for the space because we're kind of all tired of him, right? But Paul Atkins is as far as I know, he's very seasoned in the markets, okay, and he's also very bullish on crypto, which is great. We want that, right? And then you have Trump, who is invested in crypto. JD Vance is invested in crypto. I think Vivek, to some extent, is invested in crypto, if I'm not mistaken. Elon, obviously the Doge father, right? So you have all that. Okay, Trump is very bullish on crypto. He wants to mine all the Bitcoin in the United States. That's very bullish. On top of that, you have a potential for a Bitcoin national stockpile. The U.S. government supposedly, I don't know how realistic this is. We'll see. But supposedly, Trump wants to buy 1 million Bitcoin over the next 5 years. So, everything considered, do I think we're at the end of this crypto bull run yet? I really don't think so. I would be willing to look. I think the likelihood that we're going to see some really stupid, just eye popping, unbelievable gains starting next month, especially when Trump gets in office, I would give it a very, very high probability, 95% plus. Okay. I think that's likely what's going to happen. Again, there's always going to be traders that are trading these charts, looking at technicals, trying to get in and out of support resistance, all that crap. But like I told y'all before, it's two things that usually always move the markets. Okay. It's a catalyst or a whale. Okay. Usually that's what happens. It's a catalyst or it's big money or it's both. In this case, probably both. All right. Anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.